seeing the school heartthrob kissing the nanny's daughter unabashedly on the playground. I decided to stop being a simp. In my past life, I used all my resources to support him in becoming a business tycoon, only for him to collaborate with a competitor and ruin my father's company once he made it big, leaving my family homeless and spending all his efforts on escapades with the nanny's daughter. Reborn. I cut off his supplementary credit card and stopped all his top-notch tutoring. He scoffed at this. "Selena, you think you can force me to be with you by doing all this? You think I'd give in? I'd rather starve than give you a second glance. Every word you say disgusts me." Eric frowned and turned his head as if looking at me any longer would make him vomit. I just laughed, extending my hand with a payment code. "Wake up. Stop pretending. Over these 3 years you've owed me a total of 276 million yuan. Do you want to settle it via WeChat or Alipay?" Chapter 1. Lara's cake may look expensive, but it's definitely overshadowed by the bird's nest porridge in Selena's hands. I wonder how the school heartthrob will choose. I opened my eyes amid a burst of snickering, shocked to find myself reborn back to the first day of the last semester of senior year. That day, Eric had just finished a basketball game under everyone's watchful eyes. Lara, holding a small piece of cake that didn't look fresh, wanted to give it to Eric. I immediately recognized that cake is leftover from my dad's birthday last week, decorated with little flowers I had drawn with cream. Back then, I didn't know how Lara got that cake, but I knew it was expired and shouldn't be eaten, so I immediately spoke up to stop her, worried Eric might get a stomachache. But I happened to be holding a bowl of bird's nest porridge just delivered by the butler. The other students mistook my action for jealousy over Lara, and began mocking me as they enjoyed the spectacle. Still not recovered from my tragic death in my past life, I was speechless. Without my interference, Eric grabbed the cake from Lara's hands and took a big bite. Perhaps because of the strange taste, Eric's handsome brows furrowed involuntarily, but he quickly composed himself and looked at me with contempt. "Selena, stop bullying Lara." With that, Eric pulled Lara into his arms, and a tearful Lara, overwhelmed by mockery, closed her eyes and kissed him. I hadn't done anything, yet I seemed like the villain trying to break them apart. After a while, they reluctantly parted amid the cheers of the classmates, and Eric disdainfully glanced at the bird's nest porridge in my hands and threw 200 yuan in my face. "Lara's gift is the best. Even if it were poison, I'd relish it. Selena, give up on me. I'll never like you. I've paid you back for the porridge. Now get lost." With that, Eric took Lara's hand and turned to leave. "Wait!" Finally snapping out of the agony of my previous life's death. I looked at Eric as he turned back impatiently, and I fiercely grabbed his collar. "What about the 276 million yuan you owe me from these past 2 years? WeChat or Alipay?" Eric scoffed and shook off my hand. "Selena, have you lost your mind? When have I ever spent your money?" Chapter 2. In my previous life, I simply thought of Eric as a studious person with integrity. To preserve his dignity, I made sure the money I spent on him was never disclosed openly. The supplementary card I gave him was described as financial aid from the school, to not waste his talent. I found him expensive top-tier tutors and just convinced him that it was a free opportunity provided by the school because they valued his potential. I liked him and only wanted to help him achieve his dreams, even if he didn't like me back. At that time, I didn't know that Lara was the daughter of my family's maid. Her mother was dishonest, always stealing from my family to sell things for money, providing Lara with a life of luxury. Lara was also unaware that her mother worked at my house, recklessly spending the money her mom stole from us, creating the persona of a wealthy girl. Eric's unabashed affection for her was further fueled because she gave him more money. He felt his entire respectable high school life was dependent on Lara's support. So later, even when he found out that Lara was just the daughter of our maid, and that the money was stolen by her mother, he just felt sorry for her hardship, and resented me for being heartless enough to send Lara's mother to jail, causing their separation. Eric bided his time for years, deceiving our whole family's trust until he was strong enough to ruin us completely, and he finally stepped on our ruins to elope with Lara. This time, I won't be the fool who sacrifices everything for love, nor will I be the obstacle to their tragic romance. If Eric wants to run away with Lara, he can do so now. Chapter 3. A burst of laughter erupted around me. My goodness, even if Selena's bird's nest is expensive, it wouldn't cost 4 figures, right? How dare she ask for that much? I think she must have gone mad from rejection. Does she even know how much 276 million is? Poor school heartthrob, stuck with someone like her extorting him. I didn't explain, just endured everyone's mockery while taking screenshots with my phone, listing all the money I had spent on Eric over the past 2 years. I wanted this ingrate to pay back everything he owed me, to the last penny. Just as I organized the evidence, I held up my phone to Eric. Open your eyes wide and look. Use your brain. What kind of school aid involves a card with a monthly allowance of 20,000? Those top teachers, why would they care about an ordinary student like you? And for free. Before I could finish, I saw Eric's face contort in pain, and then he fell straight towards me. I immediately stepped aside, but Laura rushed over and shoved me hard. I lost my balance and fell to the ground, while Laura and some classmates caught the fainting Eric, pointing at me with tears in her voice. Selena, what have you done to Eric? If anything happens to him, I won't forgive you. After that, they carried Eric and ran towards the infirmary. Bewildered, I stood up, planning to go home to deal with the theft by the maid. But Lara's roommates surrounded me. You caused harm and still want to leave? You're coming with us to the infirmary. And you, as the main culprit, will have to pay for Eric's medical expenses. Chapter 4. I was escorted to the infirmary by them. I kept sending messages to the butler, informing him of Lara's mother's theft and instructing him to investigate and call the police immediately. Just after sending the message, one of the taller and heavier classmates, Emma, snatched my phone. What? Trying to call for help? No way. You must take responsibility for your actions. I watched as she pocketed my phone, calculating my chances of winning a fight against her, which was 0%. So, adhering to the principle that discretion is the better part of valor, I obediently followed them to the infirmary. By then, Eric had regained consciousness. His face was pale. He bit his lip without saying a word, and beads of sweat appeared on his forehead, clearly in a lot of pain. Laura was tearfully distressed. Upon seeing me, Laura raised her right hand in anger and charged at me, poised to slap my face. What did you do to Eric? Tell me, just because he doesn't like you. What's wrong with that? Why do you have to harm him? I was shocked and quickly stepped back, but was blocked by a wall of people behind me. Just as her hand was about to strike, the doctor finally spoke up. Eric has acute gastroenteritis from food poisoning. It looks very serious, and he needs to be seen at a major hospital immediately. The spoiled food, Laura murmured thoughtfully with a frown and then sharply questioned me. What did you feed Eric? Seeing her foolish expression, I couldn't help but roll my eyes and kindly reminded her. Wasn't it you who insisted on feeding him that expired cake? What does that have to do with me? Chapter 5. In an instant, Laura turned pale. I was speechless. Did she really not know that cakes have an expiration date? The next second, Laura burst into tears and threw herself at Eric. I'm so sorry. Eric! That cake was brought back from abroad by my mom after much difficulty. I thought it was the very best thing, so I couldn't bear to eat it all and saved a piece for you. I didn't notice it had gone bad. Sob. Eric, enduring the pain, raised his hand to stroke her head. It's okay, Laura. It's not your fault. It's all Selena's fault. Just look at her face at that time. She clearly knew there was something wrong with the cake. Yet she didn't stop me from eating it. She deliberately harmed me. You were just naive, and that's why you fell for her tricks. As soon as she finished speaking, all the classmates' eyes filled with disdain turned sharply towards me, as if I truly was the malicious villain Eric described. Laura pointed a small hand. You must come with us to the hospital right now. You must compensate for Eric's medical and emotional damages. Do they really think I'm that easy to bully? I looked around at the students and asked incredulously, do you all really think I'm the one at fault? Emma quickly retorted, isn't it obvious? Lara's mom could buy a cake from abroad, which means her family is either rich or noble. It's understandable that she didn't know food could expire. But you? Where did you get a bowl of fake bird's nest? Failing to confess your love and then trying to extort more than 200,000 from Eric. Your intentions are too malicious. How could this not be your fault? Everyone seemed to think Lara's family was rich and powerful, so they sided with her. Tired of arguing with them, I stretched out my hand to Emma. If you want me to pay, shouldn't you give me my phone back first? Smart move. As soon as Emma handed me the phone, I sprinted away with the speed of a 100-meter dash. Checking the messages from the butler, it was confirmed that Lara's mom had been caught stealing, and the police were on their way. I ran straight out of the school gates and hailed a taxi back to the villa. As soon as I got out of the car, Lara's mom rushed over and knelt before me, sobbing loudly. Miss, you can't do this to me. I've worked here for so many years. I may not have merits, but I've put in hard work. How can you let the butler call the police just because I took some things that are utterly useless to you? You are so petty and cold-hearted. Aren't you afraid of retribution? Chapter 6. I ignored her attempt to distort the truth and walked past her to the butler inside the house. Uncle, have you calculated how much she stole? It's all clear now. The butler handed me the data he had prepared. Unlike the over 10 million in my previous life, this time I caught on earlier, before Lara and Eric officially got together, so she hadn't started spending wildly on him yet. And the amount was only a little over 1 million, but it was still enough for her to be jailed. Suddenly, the butler interrupted my thoughts. Miss, over the years before today, she stole items worth several $100,000, and the rest, over $900,000, was stolen today. Those items are still in her room. As I was shocked by this revelation, the police arrived. Monica seemed to have anticipated her fate, sitting despondently outside the front door, silent. After the butler explained the situation to the police and they were about to take Monica away, she suddenly roared like a madwoman. Selena, you will not die well. Just you wait. My son-in-law will become the richest man, and once he gets me out, I will enjoy endless wealth and glory, and then it will be your time to die. I suddenly realized Lara might have been reborn too. I immediately checked the villa's surveillance and found that Monica's theft occurred just an hour ago, which was 10 minutes before the butler started investigating. Before this incident, Monica had been talking on the phone for a long time, crying and laughing in a deranged manner. When Monica was taken away, she didn't bring anything with her, so I immediately asked the butler to find her phone. Upon opening it, I saw a message from Lara. Mom, I've found a boyfriend. Trust me, in 10 years, he'll be the richest man in Chengdu, and he will take everything that belongs to Selena's family. You won't have to be a maid anymore. He will make you the richest lady in Chengdu. But right now, I need a large sum of money. I have to buy his heart while he's down. Lara's crazed, confident message highlighted her impatience to marry Eric and become the dazzling wealthy wife she was in the previous life. There's nothing wrong with aspiring to a good life, but she shouldn't take everything from me out of greed, causing the death of my entire family. This time, her dreams are destined to be shattered. Chapter 7. I quickly canceled Eric's supplementary card and stopped all his one-on-one classes. The police had also frozen Monica's bank account. Even though the money in it wouldn't cover the amount she stole from me, I still didn't want Lara to spend another cent of it. 10 minutes later, my classmates started bombarding me with mentions in the class group chat. Selena, where are you? Weren't you supposed to cover the hospital bills? The total is 68,000 yuan. Hurry up and transfer the money to the group. You can't escape this. I don't believe you'll never come back to school. People with your lack of morals should be expelled from school. 68,000? That seemed absurd to me. Could Eric really rack up such a bill just from eating an expired cake? I excitedly opened the bill. The medical expenses weren't much. 38 classmates each ordered a bowl of top-quality bird's nest, and the person who placed the order was Lara. This was clearly a setup to make me the fall guy. Rather than letting it go, I took screenshots of all the messages in the group, including the bill, and posted them to the school-wide group. Instantly, the group of 1,000 students exploded. Some accused me of causing a classmate to fall ill and then running away without paying the medical bills. Others sarcastically suggested that they would make me pay for the 68,000 yuan worth of bird's nest. Seeing this, I immediately used my powers to access the playground surveillance, which proved that Eric's gastroenteritis was caused by that expired cake. No matter how Lara tried to distort the facts, Eric's illness had nothing to do with me. The entire class of senior year. Class 5 was being lambasted online. How can class 5 from senior year be so shameless? Over 1,000 yuan for a bowl of bird's nest that I haven't even tasted. And they dare to order dozens of them expecting someone else to pay? That's disgraceful. That's disgusting. I don't want to see these people at school. One classmate threw out screenshots to explain, we paid for the bird's nest ourselves. Laura said she would transfer the money to us soon. I thought she was being generous. But who knew she planned to include it in the medical bill for Selena to pay? The explanations were instantly drowned out by a barrage of insults. And most classmates couldn't handle the pressure and left the group. At that moment, Monica's phone started ringing nonstop. I pressed end call. Laura had no choice but to send a message. Mom, are you crazy? Where's the money you were supposed to prepare? The classmates are waiting for me to pay. If you can't handle this small thing, don't blame me if I cut ties with you. I couldn't help but smirk as I replied, I'm looking for a place to sell some things. Why don't you buy something nicer for your classmates to keep them steady? I put down my phone and returned to school for evening self-study. About 10 minutes later, a classmate walked into the classroom carrying a pair of designer sports shoes. I raised an eyebrow, as Laura was clearly going all out to win people over. Unfortunately, she didn't know that there was no longer any capital for her to spend. Most classmates were excitedly thanking her. A few looked at the brand-name shoes in their hands awkwardly, quietly asking Laura when they could get the money back that they had used from their tuition fees. Laura waved her hand irritably, constantly sending messages on her phone. Without looking up, she responded, Don't rush me. Do you think I won't pay you back? I suddenly understood. Today was the first day of school, and the classmates hadn't had the chance to pay their tuition fees before Laura coaxed them into fronting the money for the shoes and bird's nest under the guise of hosting them. Monica's phone had been turned off by me when I left the house, leaving Laura without any response. No matter how anxious she was as restless as ants on a hot pan, which I thought served her right. Yet I didn't notice Eric approaching me. Indifferently, he placed the hospital bill on my desk, ordering, this 328 yuan should be paid by you, as Laura used her tuition money to cover it for me. Please pay her back immediately. Before I could even respond, Eric had already turned and returned to his seat. He acted as if I was something he couldn't wait to get away from. He took out a test paper and began to work on it as if the surrounding chaos had nothing to do with him. He never considered that the focused environment he had enjoyed for studying over the past 2 years was all thanks to me. And he certainly didn't know that the bank card in his hand had already been frozen. I was curious to see if he could maintain his pride and calm when he couldn't pay his tuition fee tonight. Chapter 8. The bell for class rang, and the homeroom teacher walked into the classroom holding a stack of documents. He pushed up his glasses on the bridge of his nose. Let's have the tuition fees handed in. Students. The classroom immediately erupted. What do we do now? Laura. Say something. Can you give me back my money? Laura. Have you got your money ready? Laura. You scammer. Are you playing with me? Watching one student after another fall apart, the teacher was completely confused. Quiet! What exactly happened here? Class president. Explain. The class president, Lucas, wiped away tears and, choking up, pointed at Laura, who was still fiddling with her phone. It's Laura. She said she was a hidden rich girl and wanted to treat the whole class to bird's nest and insisted on giving everyone shoes worth thousands of yuan. I said no, but she insisted that if I refused, I would be disrespecting her. Sob. When it came time to pay, she only paid for Eric and had us front the rest, saying she would reimburse us soon, and she still hasn't. So now none of us have the money for tuition. After Lucas finished, he looked down at the luxury shoebox at his feet and helplessly started crying again. The teacher, utterly baffled, stood up and quickly walked over to Laura. Before he could speak, Laura stood up defiantly. It's not your place to say anything here. It's just a few 100,000. Don't worry. I'll bring the money tomorrow. With that, she ran out of the classroom without looking back. I knew she was determined to get the money as long as she could contact her mother. But with the phone not going through, she had no choice but to find someone in person. The homeroom teacher, frowning, sighed. Which store did you buy the shoes from? Lead the way quickly. I'll take you to return them. As soon as the teacher finished speaking, some students rushed out of the classroom with their shoe boxes, and those a bit slower took their shoes off, put them back in the boxes, and also hurried out. Suddenly, only Eric and I were left in the classroom. He looked up at me, his expression complex. "Selena, did you pull some strings behind the scenes to trap Laura? Otherwise, how could she not have the money? You better come clean, or I will call the police." Chapter 9. I looked at Eric, who was self-righteously indignant, as if he were a fool. Suddenly, without the rose-colored glasses of infatuation, he seemed so stubborn and ordinary. "Eric, you better worry about yourself first." With that, I ignored the doubt in his eyes and settled down to focus on my studies. The first to return to the classroom was Laura. By then, the smug confidence had drained from her eyes. She was pale, staring at me with fear in her eyes, and even her voice trembled as she spoke. "Selena, do you know everything? I didn't deny it. Don't worry. I won't do anything to you." Laura visibly relaxed. I couldn't help but smirk, turning the conversation. "However, whether your classmates will let you off is none of my business." Just as I finished speaking, Laura screamed. A troublemaker in the class came back, slamming a shoebox onto her head. That was just the start. A flurry of punches and kicks rained down on her like a storm. While hitting her, he shouted, "It's all your fault. Who do you think you are without money? The store said the shoes can't be returned once worn. You owe me my parents' hard-earned money. What am I supposed to use to pay my tuition?" Just in time, the homeroom teacher arrived and pulled him away. Only then did Eric rush over to help Laura off the ground, asking with concern, "Are you okay?" Laura feigned strength and shook her head, leaning heavily on Eric, and weakly said, "Eric, Selena got my mom arrested by the police. I can't give you any more money. I don't have a mom now, only you." With that, Laura broke down sobbing. Hearing this, Eric glared at me, his eyes nearly spitting fire. I immediately called the bodyguard who was waiting in the school. "Protect me." Chapter 10. In an instant, 3 bodyguards in black rushed into the classroom and stood behind me. Eric's clenched fists suddenly relaxed, and his menacing expression calmed down. Having already died once, I was naturally very cautious in my reborn life. There was no way I was going to let him hurt me again. The homeroom teacher had gone to the office to contact the parents one by one about the shoes that couldn't be returned, asking them to come and pay the tuition fees. Outside the classroom, there were waves of cries from students being scolded harshly by their parents. After dealing with the situation, the parents entered the classroom one by one, confronting Laura about why she had set up her classmates. Laura, overwhelmed, simply fainted. Eric, usually unflappable, was beside himself with worry and carried her out of the classroom. It wasn't until all the parents had left that Eric, leading a now awake Laura, returned to the classroom. The homeroom teacher sat on the platform, giving Laura a cold stare. Eric stood protectively in front of Laura, stating he would pay their tuition fees, but after fiddling with his phone for a long time, he couldn't transfer a single penny. Eric, desperate and thoughtless, lashed out at the homeroom teacher. "Why can't I withdraw money with the bank card the school gave me? Did you do something to it?" As he spoke, Eric pulled the card from his pocket and slammed it on the podium. The homeroom teacher, utterly confused, looked at the card. "What are you talking about? Why would the school randomly give you a card? Did you spend all the tuition fee? I'm calling your parents right now." "No need. Teacher, he's an orphan." The homeroom teacher stared at me, stunned. Eric's eyes instantly reddened. How could you know that?" "I picked up the bank card from the podium, because I gave you that card 2 years ago. I saw you being bullied by a gang on the street. So out of sympathy, I used my connections to transfer you to this school, gave you enough living expenses, and even found top teachers to tutor you. Looking back now, I really was blind." Eric, unable to accept it, slumped to the ground, unresponsive to Lara's calls. Chapter 11. The next day, Laura was expelled from school for her misconduct and deceiving her classmates. Before leaving, she spent all her savings to pay Eric's tuition and fiercely declared war on me. "Selena, since you've also been reborn, You know what your end will be. I'm not left with nothing. I still have Eric. He only loves me. And soon, all the pain you've caused me today will come back to haunt you 100-fold. I was feeling irritable from studying, so I couldn't help but crumple up a piece of draft paper and throw it at Lara's face. Shut up! Eric glared at me, then dejectedly led Lara away and escorted her out of the school. As the only one who hadn't suffered a financial loss due to Lara's antics, Eric was ostracized by his classmates. He no longer received the adoration and admiration he was used to. Instead, he was treated like he was invisible, with no one even bothering to speak to him when he tried to engage. I ignored it all. He had brought this on himself. During evening self-study, I packed up my things to go to a one-on-one tutoring session. Suddenly feeling something was off, I turned around to find Eric standing behind me. I frowned and asked him, "What are you doing following me?" Eric retorted, "I'm just going to class. There's only one way." "How does it mean I'm following you?" I was speechless. "Hasn't anyone told you? All your classes have been cancelled." Eric exploded. "Selena, what right do you have to cancel my classes? I haven't even settled the score with you for getting Lara's mom jailed. And now you want to ruin me too? Just because I love Lara and not you. You want to destroy us? Who do you think you are? Just because your family has money, you think you can control other people's lives and harm them at will?" Watching him unravel, I remembered how in his previous life, after achieving success, he blindly retaliated against me, even though I knew that without my help in this life, Eric would never rise high again. Still, I patiently made it clear to him that if he chose to continue down this path, he couldn't blame me. "Eric, I don't know what Lara has told you, but her mother going to jail wasn't a setup. Over the years, to provide a lavish life for Lara, her mom stole and sold stuff from my house. Shouldn't I have called the police? Doesn't she deserve to be punished? Besides, you've also spent a good amount of that stolen money, right? Yet you haven't paid any price for it. If anyone owes Lara, it should be you." And about the tutoring, I've told you before, but I'll say it again in case you didn't understand. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Those tutors were paid by me with a lot of money, and now I no longer want to spend on you. So what's the problem with canceling the classes? With that, I turned and walked away. Behind me, Eric's desperate shout echoed. "Selena, how am I supposed to achieve my dreams if you cancel my classes now?" But what did his dreams have to do with me? Chapter 12. In the following days, Eric desperately tried to contact the teachers who had previously taught him through WeChat, hoping they could teach him for free until the college entrance examination. He promised that once he achieved success, he would repay them many times over for their tutoring fees. However, those teachers were all contacts I had reached through my connections. After consulting with me, they all chose to block Eric. Seeing that no one was willing to teach him anymore, Eric stopped attending regular school classes as well. He wandered aimlessly day by day, even falling asleep in class, which led to a heated argument with a teacher who called him out for sleeping, telling the teacher he wasn't worthy of teaching him, and then being kicked out of the classroom by the teacher. 2 months later, Eric's grades had plummeted drastically. As proud as he was, he finally approached me during a break and admitted his defeat. "Selena, you won." I hadn't looked at him properly for a long time, and Eric's transformation startled me. I noticed his cheeks were sunken, his face looked sallow and unkempt. Even his uniform was wrinkled and seemed like it hadn't been washed for a long time. He looked more like a vagrant than a high school student. Perhaps seeing the shock in my eyes, Eric laughed sarcastically. "Don't pretend, Selena. Isn't this what you hoped for? You're to blame for everyone ostracizing me. It doesn't matter. But you also cut off my card. The monthly financial aid from the school isn't even enough for me to eat. I'm starving." Seeing his self-pity, I couldn't help but roll my eyes. The school's regular aid was completely adequate for daily life, but he chose, as always, to eat in the most expensive cafeteria and select the priciest meals, never willing to skimp on himself. No wonder it wasn't enough. "Eric, you really never look for reasons within yourself." Eric seemed to want to say something but stopped himself, finally saying, "Give me back my card, and bring back those teachers who taught me. I promise I will reconsider whether I should be with you or not. Even if I ultimately don't want to be with you, I'll repay you after I achieve success. Finally, I gave him a slap I had been waiting to give my whole life. Success? Eric, as long as I live, you'll never achieve success. Eric, furious. Are you really going to ruin me? I shook my head. You think too highly of yourself. With your mediocre talents that would not stand out in a crowd. Even if I spent money on you for another 30 or 50 years, you'd never stand out. Eric, disbelieving, suddenly filled with determination to try harder. But he soon discovered that, having missed 2 months of classes, his grades, which were once excellent, were now average. In the next exam, his grades worsened further. Eric collapsed again, but this time he didn't even have a chance to speak to me. I returned home, where a tutor would help me in each subject to make the final push before the college entrance examination. Chapter 13. On the day of the college entrance examination, I encountered Laura and Eric at the school gate, whom I hadn't seen in a long time. Laura was still wearing the same clothes she had on when she left the school, looking noticeably thinner. She adjusted Eric's clothes with hopeful eyes. As I passed by them, Lara's assertive voice reached my ears. Eric, trust me. Just go and give it your all. You're destined to be the top scorer this year. You'll get into one of the top universities and rise rapidly. You'll become the wealthiest man, and I will always be here waiting for you. I suddenly understood why Laura hadn't caused any trouble in recent months. She must have thought that things would eventually develop as they had in the previous life, and that she just needed to keep a firm hold on Eric's heart to get everything she wanted. How foolish. Eric nodded vigorously, carrying Lara's dreams as he entered the school. He stopped me. Selena, if you apologize now, it might still be time, and I might not have to retaliate against you as Laura wants. I laughed. Eric, haven't you told Laura that you're no longer the top student? Your current grades are far too low compared to the admission standards of the top universities. Eric's face turned red, and he clenched his fists. I only believe in Lara's words. I will become the man of her dreams. Selena, you will regret this. I couldn't be bothered to argue with him any longer and walked into the examination hall. Chapter 14. After the college entrance exam results came out, most students, including myself, got into the universities of our dreams. Eric, however, didn't even pass the cutoff for undergraduate programs. That day, Laura rushed to the school entrance, claiming there had been a mistake with Eric's scores, insisting that he should have been the top scorer. She demanded to enter the school to have the principal correct his score, but was stopped by security guards and couldn't even get through the school gates. She cried and made a scene at the school entrance for a day and a night without drinking a drop of water. Worried about a potential incident, the security guards called the police. The police arrived and took her away. After a medical examination, doctors said she had gone insane. Thus, Laura was admitted to a psychiatric hospital. One day during the summer, a security guard found a man acting suspiciously outside the gate of my villa. Upon capturing him, it turned out to be Eric. Seeing me, Eric fell to his knees with a thud, crying uncontrollably. He said, Selena, I'm sorry. I've remembered everything. Everything Laura said was true. I was a jerk. I shouldn't have hurt you like that. Can you give me another chance? I'll go back to school and redo a year, and once I achieve success, I'll make it up to you properly. Success again. I waved my hand, signaling the security guard to throw him out. Eric, you will never be close to success in this lifetime. Just enjoy your ruined life. Consider it atonement for the sins you committed in your past life.